Good evening and welcome to the January 17th, 2024 Mercer Island Arts Council regular video meeting. The time is now 5:31 p.m. I'm Daniel Becker, Arts Council Vice Chair. I'm filling in for Chair Mitchell, who is unavailable tonight. Tonight's Arts Council meeting is using video conferencing technology provided by Zoom. The video of this meeting is being broadcast live via Zoom and will be updated to the city's YouTube channel later this week. City staff, liaisons to the Arts Council, and other panelists are also participating in tonight's meeting remotely. Other public audience members may be listening to the meeting by telephone or online. Additionally, the city has opened up the community center to provide public space for viewing and participating in the meeting. Welcome to all, and thank you for joining us tonight. Councilors, please ensure that your microphones are turned on for the roll call. Will staff please call the roll?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Suzanne Scone.
Hold on. Sorry. Okay, I'm here. I guess it was on.
Yes.
Now I'll mute it.
Rosemary Moore.
Present.
Hannah Yoon. Daniel Becker.
Present.
J.B. Gibson.
Present.
Elizabeth Mitchell. And Jonathan Harrington.
Here.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
City staff, is there anyone who has signed up for appearances that wishes to address the Arts Council?
No, Vice Chair. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, we will now move on to the department report. And for that, we welcome Katie Herzog, Recreation Supervisor and Staff Liaison.
Thank you. I will share my screen and we'll get started. All right, so hello and Happy New Year. Hope everyone's staying warm on this winter evening. Welcome to our department report on January 17th, 2024. So for starters, we just want to give a little bit of a wrap up to our Illuminate MI. In addition to the town center being lit up for the winter season, we had quite a few events in December, which included the tree lighting and Firehouse Munch, the menorah lighting at Mercerdale. We hosted a family movie night at the community center, which had over 100 people registered who came to watch The Grinch. The Argosy Christmas ships visited Luther Burbank Park. The Girl Scouts hosted a toy drive in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce and an organization called On the East Side. There was a holiday market at our community center, and Island Lanterns is happening now. So big thanks to our event sponsors, Puget Sound Energy, Street Treats, Hub Boba, and John L. Scott Realty. We had a really exciting holiday season. So Island Lanterns has returned. This is a community art project where the community members can pick up lanterns from our community center, and they will be on display from February 1st through March 31st. Lanterns are going to be hung at Mercerdale Park. Hopefully with weather permitting, they can stay up for those 2 months. And we'll also have a display at the community center. We've had a huge response to the lanterns being picked up, and we're currently waiting a couple of different shipments for more lanterns to come our way. So stay tuned on the website shown on the slide here and also on our social media. If you haven't gotten your lantern, we have more coming and we'll let you know when they arrive. So as mentioned, we had a really great turnout for a family movie night in December. So we've added one in February where we'll be showing the new Trolls movie and provide popcorn and dessert. We had 120 spots available and they have all been registered. It's free of charge, but we ask for registration. And so this event is full for February 9th. The Mercer Island Chinese Association, in partnership with the city, is going to host a Lunar New Year celebration at the community center. They're going to have a ton of different family events, some cultural experiences, arts and crafts. So please come check that out on February 11th from 10 to 4:30. And the winter holiday show with the Myval is happening now. They had their opening reception last week, and you can view this art through March 1st. We are also working with the Youth and Family Services department for a senior resource fair that will take place on March 2nd at the community center. We're looking for local vendors who have something to offer our senior community to all be on site. And Leap for Green will return on April 20th. So the Roanoke Park Playground is going to be replaced. The city has kicked off the community engagement process with an online survey that was completed on January 12th. They've had over 160 surveys completed. The next community engagement will happen on January 30th with a virtual public meeting. And for more information and to get involved, you can visit the Let's Talk page shown on the slide, and certainly for more information on how to join that public meeting. We have a slew of public art maintenance updates. So the mosaic murals at Luther Burbank Park is where we'll start. We are working with artist Sandy Glass to complete several repairs to really most of the mosaics at the Luther Burbank Park playground. The artist is finalizing a proposal, and we anticipate completing the contracting and starting repairs by the end of Q1, of course, weather permitting, with this outdoor project. The second piece is Now We Are One, which was located on First Hill Park. This was deinstalled in September of 2020 due to a damaged base. It was repaired in 23 by Art Site, and it's currently being stored at Artworks Fine Art Services. We will reinstall the piece during or after the completion of the First Hill Playground replacement project, which is tentatively scheduled for summer, fall 2024. And next up is the Fire Flower. This was significantly damaged during an attempted theft in November of 2020. The restoration was completed by Art Site in 2022, and it's also being stored by Artworks until the sculpture can be resited at a future development in Town Center. And I believe this one will eventually go near the Riot Games building. Four Seasons at Mercer Island Library is a 4-panel mural by local artist Maria Frank Abrams. These are actually owned by 4Culture and they installed them at the library. So we've partnered with 4Culture to restore the mural and offer a public programming about the process, the artist, and other topics related to this art. So definitely stay tuned for more details. You can check out an article that was written on the artist at the 4Culture website on this slide. Some exciting things will be happening with these. And just for our routine maintenance update, we do conduct annual maintenance on our sculptures through Alloy Arts. The maintenance usually takes place in earliest summer. We will inform the Arts Council when the schedule is confirmed this summer. But we're always looking for help in monitoring our collection. So most of the art is in public parks or outside of public buildings. If you're out and about and see a public art piece that needs addressing or has any issues, please let us know. And if you're not sure where all the public art pieces are located, we have a really great public art story map at the link here. So check that out and you can see everything that's on Mercer Island. All right, in recreation, it's never too early to start planning or thinking about summer. So we are pleased to announce that Summer Celebration will take place on July 13th this year. We'll follow a similar program as last year where we will kick off with a community parade, an afternoon at Mercerdale Park, and an evening at Luther Burbank with the fireworks show. Information will keep coming out in the months as we get closer. And of course, you can check out the Summer Celebration website on the mercerisland.gov. We're also working on our summer camp schedule and all of our spring and summer events. So more information will certainly be coming soon. And that is all I have tonight.
Great, thank you, Katie. Lots of cool events there. I know in my family we're excited about several of those, so I appreciate it. The next item of regular business is to review and consider approving the minutes from the October 25th, 2023 meeting. Councilors, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 25th, 2023 special meeting?
I will so move.
Is there a second? What? I think somebody's got to say it. I haven't heard it.
Second.
All right, thanks. Sorry. There is a motion by Counselor Moore and a second by Counselor Harrington. Counselors, please turn on your microphones. Will the city staff please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Vice Chair. JB Gibson, we're having microphone issues, it sounds. looks
Yeah.
like.
Can we take a thumbs up or not? But JB, we're not able to hear you, but I don't know if we allowed to take a thumbs up on that.
If staff can confirm his thumbs up vote, that's acceptable.
I see the thumbs up. Thank you. JB Gibson, thumbs up. Elizabeth Mitchell, Jonathan Harrington,
Yes.
Hannah Yun,
Yes.
Rosemary Moore,
Aye.
Suzanne Scone,
Approve.
Daniel Becker.
Aye.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
All right, the motion passes and the minutes are approved. The third item on our agenda is the Arts Council bylaws update. For that, we welcome the city clerk, Andrea Larson, and Katie Herzog will be rejoining us.
Thank you so much for this item. We will pass it over to our city clerk, Andrea Larson.
Thank you, Vice Chair. For the record, I'm City Clerk Andrea Larson. Give me 1 second to share my screen. I've got a super quick presentation for you guys tonight. Let me know, did Zoom come up? I'm never the one on the sharing side.
We can see it.
All
Yeah.
right, perfect. So before you tonight, Arts Council is your Arts Council update. This update came at the direction of the city manager's office, which directed the city's clerk's office to conduct a review and amendment of all advisory board and commission bylaws to address changes in state law, reflect new practices and procedures, and to ensure consistency amongst all advisory boards and commissions. One of the big things for the bylaws update that goal is to help both our amazing volunteers in our advisory boards and commissions and staff is to have consistency amongst all boards and commission bylaws. This way, so somebody wants to go from Arts Council and decides to go apply for Parks and Rec Commission, it's not run entirely different with the nuances for each individual board and commission. Within the bylaws update, we addressed recent legislation changes. There were changes to the Open Public Meeting Act. These changes require all public meetings of advisory boards and commissions and councils to provide a physical meeting location, and also for all of them to provide a public appearance requirement. So these have been added to the bylaws. The bylaws also align closely with the City Council rules of procedure. Also added to the bylaws were procedures for trainings covering the Open Governments Training Act and the Code of Ethics training, and then also procedure for elections of chair and vice chair. In there were discussed processes for meetings and agenda preparation, as well as Arts Council meeting protocols. In the bylaws, there were several appendices included. The appendices are all consistent with the City Council rules of procedure. They include parliamentary rules and motions, which is intended to be a quick reference guide to typical parliamentary rules and motions that may be used by the Arts Council. Oh, I didn't adjust my slide, pardon me. It should say Arts Council Code of Conduct and Arts Council Staff Communication Guidelines. My apologies about that. And then how the city uses Nextdoor.com. You might ask, why is it specifically called out as Nextdoor? And why is it not all social media? It is specific to Nextdoor because of the way that Nextdoor functions as a social media entity. As noted in the appendix, the city's ability to interact with Nextdoor is limited. And while all ideally Arts Council business shouldn't be discussed personally on social media, if an arts counselor were to choose to discuss Arts Council business on there, the arts counselor could have the ability to allow the city to archive their social media through Archive Social. That option's available for everything except for Nextdoor. With Nextdoor, there's no way for the city to archive it through the processes we have so that we meet public records requirements. So that's why that one's specific to Nextdoor. It's trying to clarify that Nextdoor is just a slightly different thing. And that if you are interacting on social media, also include that you're just taking screenshots of that so that it can be included in the record. These bylaws have been reviewed by the city's attorney's office, and that review was completed in the fall of 2023. They're now before the Arts Council for review and potential adoption. And we will stop there for questions.
All right. Are there any questions? Rosemary, go ahead.
Having gone through the bylaws and also the questions matrix, which had a number of comments by people. And then in the third column, there was, in some cases, suggestions or that there could be an amendment. Personally, I thought that there were several places where the bylaws could be amended, and it didn't seem to be any hard reason in certain cases why that wasn't appropriate. So my view is that we should be amending several of the draft bylaws in accordance with these suggestions, but we would probably have to go through certain of them one by one.
I don't know, does somebody else want to take that? Or I mean, yeah, my question is whether we should discuss all of those and if we can do a thumbs up or thumbs down in order to approve them all, or should we make a motion to approve the bylaws and then do line item adjustments if that we have any? What would be the appropriate process for this?
The cleanest way for staff to capture all of the Arts Council's proposed amendments would be a main motion to approve the bylaws and then amend the bylaws as you see fit.
Okay, so if you don't have, the presentation is over, I assume that was
That
the
is
end of it.
correct.
So why don't we go ahead with that? Can I get a motion to adopt the revised bylaws? And then we'll be able to have discussion after this before we actually go to a vote. But if somebody makes a motion to do that, then we can go into formal discussion.
Alternatively, you can do all of your amendments first and then do a motion to approve it. So you can nest your amendments within the main motion of approving the bylaws. Or you can do a series of amendment motions for amendments. And then at the end, make a motion to approve the bylaws. It would be
Okay.
whatever is the will of the council.
I'm just trying to suggest what it would be the easiest. Rosemary, do you have an opinion on that, I guess?
Well, personally, it seems very odd to me to approve bylaws that you immediately want to amend. It would seem to me cleaner to decide what the amendments are and whether there's going to be whether they're passed, whether they're approved
Right.
by the council or not. So and then approve the bylaws as a whole when we know exactly what they're going to be. I mean, that's my view.
Right. What I was suggesting was not that we would approve them and then immediately amend it. We would make a motion to approve it in a second, and then we can have discussion. And before we vote to approve, so it would not be approved, someone could move to amend the motion. and we could vote on individual amendments. So we then at the end, after all of the amendments are made, we would vote to approve the amended motion with all of the amendments.
So we'd have lots of amendments potentially.
Correct, exactly. And we would vote individually on each amendment. That's
The
what I'm
total-
hearing from the city clerk, that's the cleanest thing for staff to do.
That
And
is correct.
sorry, so, to clarify, so we would be voting on each amendment before we vote on the bylaws as a whole.
Correct.
Thank
And the
you.
final motion would be to approve the bylaws as amended, because they were amended through the motions. Does that make sense? You'll have your kind of main motions and the amendments nestle under it, and then they're all approved. The motions are approved individually, and then they're all approved and nestled together. But it's acceptable to do it either way, and it is the will of the council to do it either way. So it's whichever way you guys are most comfortable facilitating your discussion.
I think it might be clear if somebody's willing to make a motion to adopt them. I promise you, we're not going to vote on this yet. If somebody's willing to make a motion to adopt the bylaws as drafted, we can get through this. It will become a little bit clearer if we get through that. But we would need someone to make that motion and then a second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would actually go, I don't know if this makes sense, but just there's 38, we're talking about the matrix, right? The 38 items that were raised. Why don't we just go through them and kind of do a thumbs up, thumbs down and see if we can weed them out? I mean, most of them, I think we've already talked about, or staff have, weighed in on. Maybe there's only a couple of them that we need to amend, and then we can approve what we have. But to me, it's better to go
Okay.
through each one and not like be jumping around. I'm afraid of if I'm jumping around or something, I don't know. That's how I would do it. So that's anyone
Yeah,
else?
I mean, some of these aren't actually a change. So I guess it's not I'm not necessarily sure what to thumbs up or thumbs down. I mean, I guess the question, we could go through them line item, but the question would be so like if we start at number one,
Yeah, does anyone have anything about that, or is it okay, or let it
Sure,
go?
I guess we could do that, and we'll just need to keep track of which ones we've edited, and then the motion at the end will be the combined. We'll have to specify which items we're including. Is staff comfortable if we proceed with doing that instead then?
Does that work, Andrea? I can.
It's
Oh.
however you guys are comfortable proceeding with the conversation. If you'd like to go through the matrix, just to clarify, the matrix, a lot of it was questions. So some of it, it might be better to look at the bylaws and if the counselors have concerns there, you could make the amendments. But it really is however you guys are comfortable going through them. Staff are happy to work through them however you guys would like to work through them. So we're happy to bring up the matrix, or we're happy to bring up the bylaws. You guys tell us what you would like. And
Rosemary, did you want to chime in there? And then I just want to keep this moving along here, whichever option we choose.
I mean, I'd like to go through the matters raised in the matrix because I mean, I've read all the bylaws, and those are where I have notes in accordance with the matrix. But obviously, if some people want to go through the bylaws, that's fine. It's just I'm worried I may not be able to find the appropriate part.
Okay, well, let's just start trying to go through I think we should start going through the matrix, because rather than talking about the process here. And so, is this a different matrix than I'm looking
Yeah.
at the agenda item?
no,
does
it's just in the Excel version.
Uh,
Oh, no, wait,
don't-
that's not it, Katie.
Okay,
That
hold
didn't end
on.
up being all of it.
I have to find one that we can edit as we go. So give me 1 second.
Katie, I have the bylaws up. That's where the edits will be, so I can edit in there. Well, if you want to bring up what's in the packet.
So I think I'm just gonna propose a process here. So I'm gonna ask if anybody wants to talk about the item in the matrix. If nobody wants to talk about it, we're just gonna move on. If you want to talk about it, then we're gonna do a thumbs up or thumbs down on whether we should make a edit as a result of it. I gotta make sure I can see everybody here while I pop this out.
Okay, there were also some questions that have been revoked, but we can just go through those as we get to them, if you'd like, Daniel.
Yeah,
And
I think we should just do that. And
Okay.
so, I mean, I'm gonna go quick because there's so many here. I don't want this to go all night. So
Right.
if you have an issue, please bring it up quickly, because otherwise, if nobody has an issue, we're gonna move on. So item number 1, does anybody want to discuss a specific edit related to number 1? I'm not seeing anything. Does anybody want to discuss item number 2?
So I guess both of these were ones that were brought up by me, and I'm the council liaison, so I don't have a vote on the what changes you guys want to make. So let me know if you want me to speak to either of these, but I wouldn't be the one that would actually make the motion or have a vote on whether to amend the bylaws based on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of hoping that one of the arts counselors will say if they want to bring this up, and if Ted wants to speak to these. Does anybody want Ted to speak to these or for you to speak to these? I'm sort of giving it to the arts counselors to decide how to use everybody's time on in this meeting here.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
okay. Because everybody's had an opportunity to read these. Okay, I'm going to continue on here. Item number 3. Nope. Okay, item number 4, that was mine. I withdrew that one. I'm going to continue. Item number 5. Nope. Item number 6. Okay, I'm seeing someone. Rosemary.
Yes, I like the idea of an amendment being made in accordance with number 6.
Okay. Does everybody need a moment to read what this is? Can you say, sorry, I'm reminding myself as well here.
I think it was a suggestion that our duties went beyond being an active we need to be active participants beyond the 4 meetings a year. Members should be expected to serve on a special committee at least once in their term. I guess it should say, if invited, to meet the purpose and function of the council, as described in PP 1.1, and council members should be expected to be ambassadors for the community and attend at least one city art related function a year.
So do we have specific language for this one? Either Rosemary, since you brought this one up, or Suzanne, since you wrote this? Or
That's what we would need for an amendment.
Suzanne or Rosemary, because this can't just be a vague, and Suzanne, you're muted. I can't tell if you're saying something, but we would need something specific to include into the bylaws.
Well, I think it could. I mean, it could be along the lines of what Suzanne has written.
I mean, the only thing I can see is, I mean, who's going to be the enforcer? You know, I mean, but I mean, I think it's worth putting some kind of language similar to what I stated there, just to at least give people to codify that when you're bringing people on to the board, that it's it is an active role. It's not just a passive role. And that's what I was trying to get at. I mean, we don't have that many members.
It could be that Arts Council, it is expected that Arts Council members will be active participants beyond the 4 meetings a year, and are expected to serve on a special committees at least once in their term, to meet the purpose and function of the council as described in PP 1.1, if invited. And that council members are expected to be ambassadors for their community and attend at least one city art council one city art related function a year, and report back to the chair their experience and observations.
So you think that could be the motion, is what you're saying? It's just those sentences as a additional section for a duty of members, is what you're saying?
And may I suggest, Chairman, that we just maybe take a vote right now to see if people want to do this rather than word craft, and then ask city staff to just, I think the intent of what we want is here, and I don't want to try to word smith it right now.
Agreed. I think we should do a thumbs up, thumbs down. Jonathan, do you want to say something before that, or can we do a thumbs up and see just the general pulse for everybody if we should even continue wordsmithing?
I just wanted to support this initiative, and I think the language is really close, and we can leave it up to staff to come down with the exact wording to preserve the intent of the proposal.
Okay. All right, let's do it. Can I just get a thumbs up and thumbs down from everybody? We need 4 thumbs up in order to include this, and then we can talk about the specific language. Okay. I see 4 thumbs up. So I think that what I'm hearing that we should do is under section, you're saying leave it up to
Chair?
staff. Yeah.
Katie, can you stop your screen share? I have a proposed amendment. I could select the right box within Zoom. Wait, nope, that's your agenda. No, is it Word? Are you looking at Word, or are you looking at?
We can see Word now.
Yeah.
As section D, well, 3.2 is not necessarily the right spot. We could make it a new 3.3. I didn't look at the title of that section. So let me adjust that. It would be section 3.3, which would make this 3.4. Duty of members, counselors will be active participants outside of the 4 meetings a year, serve on a special committee at least once in their term to meet the purpose and functions of the council as described in section 1.1. Also, counselors should be expected to be ambassadors for the community and attend at least one city art related function a year and report back to the chair their experience and observations.
I'm comfortable with that. Does anybody, Rosemary?
Just one thing, that we don't always have a say as to whether we're on a committee. I mean, we can refuse, but we have to be asked to be on it.
Okay.
So maybe we should say if invited in number 2.
Invited, so serve.
Okay. Any other questions on this one? I'm seeing general consensus here on this one that we're okay with this change. Can we let's go with this one. Can we go back to the matrix? All right, number 7. Ted, I'm going to throw this one over to you since you wrote this one.
Yeah, sure. This one is pretty basic. Do you want to have term limits or not I think the current bylaws are limited to a maximum of 2 consecutive terms for each officer. And that language is not there in the new draft. So what do you guys want? Is there any value in having term limits for officers, or are you okay with, if someone's doing a good job as the council chair, to have that person continue on term after term?
So I'm actually, so personally, I'm actually comfortable removing the term limits. I think that if we don't want someone to elect someone, then I think we could keep electing Elizabeth if she wants to keep doing it. But I agree with Ted that like we should be just making sure everybody knows that this is here. And I just want to check to see if anybody else thinks that we should keep the term limits. Nope. All right, I'm not seeing anybody else that wants to, so we're gonna skip this one then. We're gonna keep going. Item number 8.
I
Yep.
I'm wondering about this one as well. I think that there should be some statement obligating the chair to make best efforts to include. I'm not quite sure of the wording, but I like the idea that that there should be it shouldn't just be in the hands of the chair, or there should be some duty upon the chair when selecting committee members.
Okay.
Well, no, the bylaws do say it's in consultation with the vice chair, so it's not a fully own silo.
I mean, I've only been in this position for not very long, but I can personally attest that I know what, in speaking with Elizabeth, that she like is trying to include everybody. And I will also say that if somebody isn't getting included, that the Arts Council can, like if a chair is not doing a good job, the Arts Council also has the recourse of removing the chair or the vice chair if you were to feel that somebody was not doing that. So I'm just saying it's not like there's no recourse there if somebody weren't to do that. But I guess we don't have wording. I'm working on the fly here with how we're going to do this. Maybe before we spend too much time on the language, can I get a thumbs up or thumbs down on whether you think we should wordsmith modifying the bylaws to add some kind of obligation or wording in here telling the chair to make sure to spread the committees around? Or can we just do a thumbs up here on just Jonathan, are you trying to say
I had
something
a
before?
comment, if I may,
Yeah.
before voting on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Jonathan, go
so
ahead.
I don't know why we can't just keep the old statement about committees that's already in the previous bylaws.
Yeah, I mean, we can do whatever we want. I mean, the bylaws are intended to be the same. I mean, the bylaws are the same across most of the boards and commissions. So there's not really keeping the old ones at this point. There's a new draft. So we certainly could bring the language over if we're going to try to work on the wording. But at this point, we're working off of this draft. And so if we want to add the language in, we totally could. And that's essentially what I'm asking here. I mean, I think we should just get a thumbs up or thumbs down on whether we either wanted to add new language or copy existing language over. But I'd like to see whether people want to do that concept before we spend time wordsmithing. Okay, I see 2 thumbs up and 4 thumbs down. So we're gonna skip that one. Number 9. Does anybody want to discuss number 9? I am not seeing anybody, so we're gonna continue here. Number 10. No, I'm trying to just go slow enough that people have time to like read these things, but fast enough that we keep moving. Anybody on number 10? Nope. Okay. Number 11. And Ted, if you want to talk on, not specifically on this one, I don't mean to just like totally not have you talk about any of these. If there's like some that you feel strongly on, I just don't necessarily want to go through every single one of these.
No, that's fine. I think a lot of these are rather nuanced in terms of the impacts that they have on the abilities of either a council member or an officer to of the council. So I think 11, the one that you're pointing at currently, is a relatively minor one having to do
Yeah.
with co-location versus meeting, just because co-location, I think, means everyone being together in one place, and meetings can be like this, you know, done over the web.
Yeah.
However, I will note that meeting is a defined term in the Open Public Meetings Act.
All right. So we're gonna continue on. Let's go to number 12. Does anybody want to bring this one up? All right, I'm not seeing anybody. We're going to continue to number 13. This one, I think I said I was withdrawing, right? Number 13. Yeah, let's move on from number 13. Number 14, this was mine. I would still, per the staff recommendation in number A, I would like to propose this one that we remove within a 12-month period from this item, which I will just talk to briefly. I think this is unlikely to happen, but given how infrequently the Arts Council has been meeting, what this is saying is that if you miss 3 meetings, then you could basically be removed. But here it says it has to be 3 meetings within a 12-month period. So if for some crazy circumstance we only met every 6 months 3 times, someone could miss all 3 of those meetings and still not be removed in that case. And I think in the unlikely event that that happens, we should remove it. But it's not likely to come into effect. Does anybody want to say anything on that, or otherwise can I do it? I'll do a thumbs up or thumbs down on this so we can move on. All right, well, can I get a thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay, I see 4 or more thumbs up. Andrew, I assume you're going to be okay on that edit because that's pretty minor. Number 15. Anybody want to bring this one up? Okay. Number 16. Does anybody want to say bring this one?
Trying to remember
Okay. Oh. Nobody? All right. We're continuing. Number 17.
I like the idea of adding the additional wording suggested by the staff.
Okay.
Adding additional special meetings as needed to meet established work plan objectives.
Okay, I don't think okay. Was this I'm sorry, I'm going to this.
That wasn't a proposed change. Special meetings are already outlined in the bylaws before you. That was just staff saying that staff do support adding additional meetings should there be more business that the Arts Council needs to address. So special meetings are already included in the meeting description in the bylaws.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood that. Thank you.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think because I know people are concerned about the 4 meetings, as am I. And I think the idea is that in the last couple of years, we've had a number of additional meetings that have been added in between when we have needed more than 4 meetings. Jonathan, go ahead.
So I guess this would be a question to Andrea. So in the future, we could amend if we decided we want to have 6 regular meetings. This current language, is that correct?
That is correct. If there was work as directed by the city council and city manager to support 6 meetings a year, we can absolutely make an amendment to add the meetings.
Or if the council determined that more meetings would more effectively allow it to do its tasks. Also. Because previously there were more than 4 meetings, is that correct?
There were more than 4 meetings in the past. It would really depend on if there is enough work before the Arts Council to justify having a meeting. Putting on a public meeting is a pretty big lift on the staff end, from agenda preparation to meeting preparation to the number of staff who are present. And the city council and city manager who set the work plan. So
So
if
and somebody from the Arts Council would need to make a request, or the council would need to make a request to city council.
I'm going to ask Ryan to
asking
jump
for
in.
additional meetings to be added to the regular schedule. Is that how that would work?
So, I guess hypothetically, it would be if the Arts Council, and you're going to have this question come up here in a little bit, at a later item where we're talking about adding or creating a meeting schedule, that would add additional meetings. The role of staff is to set the agenda in, consultation with the Arts Council, chair and vice chair. So it's a role of staff to set the agendas for the meetings. And that's based off of the work plan as well as council direction. Does that answer the question? So it wouldn't be the Arts Council as a group wouldn't necessarily come up with topics to then just add to agendas. It would be something that staff and city council would be directing.
So then it would be up to the chair and the vice chair to agree to make some requests to change the regular schedule for meetings, but not the rest of the Arts Council.
The Arts Council, I guess the Arts Council could, Andrea, help me out here on changing the meeting schedule. Right now, I would say that staff has the capacity to meet 4 regular meetings a year. Adding additional meetings is not something we would be able to do, except in those circumstances where we're working on specific arts related work plan items as identified in the arts and culture priorities.
Yeah, I think you said it well, Ryan. It's the Arts Council is an advisory board and commission that advises the city council and other boards and commissions. So the work in the work plan is set by city council and the city manager. If there are additional things that the Arts Council wishes to propose, they could take them to staff, and then those could be taken to the city council as a proposal of we wish to explore. I'm not sure what they would be. I'm sorry, I don't know enough about the Arts Council. But yes, that's how the process would be. It would have to get approved or be a already defined work plan item, because that's how Ryan does the things he knows to do.
And staff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, we're sort of talking about 2 different things. There's like, how do we get additional work on the agenda? And then there's the meetings. And so here the question is strictly on the meetings. And it seems to me that what the 2 scenarios are basically we have 4 regular meetings and we add special meetings as needed, or we could decide here to change the bylaws and say we want to have more regular meetings scheduled, and then what's going to happen is staff is just going to selectively cancel some of them, so we end up having 4 to match the workload of what I mean. That's likely.
Chair,
And some of it is staff
Vice Chair.
capacity as well.
Yeah.
And so it's in terms of the number of meetings here, we're going to have the actual meetings that we have end up having are going to match the amount of work that there is. And so this is a little
Yes.
bit more of a technicality in terms of how do those meetings get scheduled.
Yes, because like Ryan said, and like I said, if there's work, we're happy to schedule as many special meetings as it takes to accomplish the work that is before us. It's staff are trying to avoid holding meetings just to hold meetings. It is an expense to the city to hold public meetings. We want to hold public meetings because we want the advisory boards and commissions input, but we also want to make sure that you guys have something on your agenda to actually discuss.
All right, so did we lose?
If I may just
Yeah,
ask
go
one
ahead.
more question. So the procedure then would be, let's say the majority of the Arts Council thinks there is additional work that they think will is warranted to benefit the community. So then the process would be, then we would ask staff to put a proposal together that would then go to city council, and then city council would make a determination about whether or not additional regular meetings could be approved. Is that how that would work then?
Not exactly. So the city council wouldn't be saying that we're adding additional regular meetings. That would be a separate item of establishing through the bylaws what our meeting schedule is. If you're talking, if the question is the Arts Council wants to add additional work items, that's something that we would have to discuss. I would have to look at as a staff member whether or not I have the resources to be able to do that. I can tell you 17 days into this year, we don't have a lot of free staff time to add work items. So what that would look like to add those things would be through the priorities, the arts and culture priorities, which we establish each biennium. We would put that together. We would add that to the work plan, which is then approved by the city council. If there were special things that came forward, super cool art project, something like that, the Arts Council was extremely passionate about, that would be something we would put together a proposal and take to the parks or to the city council for resources needed to carry that out, if that's kind of helping that process. One of the things we're going to be talking about here at a later item with Katie is the 1% funding plan. So that's going to be an item we want to work on. We're going to be adding additional meetings for that. So we're going to lay out a schedule of additional meetings, hoping to return in April with what that schedule looks like. So the Arts Council can decide if that's something that is able to be undertaken as a group, or if that's something that needs to be moved to subcommittee. So there's a couple, it's very dependent on what the ask might be.
Okay, I'm not actually suggesting we have more meetings. I just wanted to know what the process would be. And if we could have that reflected in the minutes, that would be great. And I don't want to take any more time on this. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to assume number 17 that it sounds like we're keeping it as is unless anybody is saying something otherwise for number 17. That's what I'm seeing, consensus. Continuing on, number 18, this was a copy paste error that has already been corrected. So we can move on. Number 19, this was mine. Hopefully don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I guess number 19 and number 20, I think, are actually related. So we'll just connect these two. And it's basically the issue is that the agenda comes out on Friday. And this is saying that you have to, and then our meetings are on Wednesday. So you'd have to give notice of amendments by 2 days before the meeting, by Monday. So the agenda comes out Friday, you have to do notice of amendments on Monday. And then the question was on, is that too fast? I guess instead of me providing my opinion on that, which I've sort of already stated before, does anybody else have an opinion on that they would like to chime in? Rosemary.
Chair, may I add
yeah,
an
sorry.
additional point? One of the things at the direction of the city clerk's office that I'm working with staff on is to get boards and commission packets out on a similar timeline to how city council packets are issued. So if your meetings are on Wednesday, the packets we're going to be aiming to get out that Thursday.
Okay. So would that would just be something that staff, would not be in the bylaws, but the staff would shoot to try to get them out a day earlier than is required.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Rosemary.
Well, I agree. I think 5 days is very tight. I think, you know, 6 or 7 days is better. And also I do find it's that we shouldn't be limited to 2 days. We're all very busy. And by the time you've received the packet, printed it, or picked it up from the city, you know, on 24 hours notice, you don't have much time. So I think that it should be, rather than 2 days for amendments, I think it should be 1 day. And, you know, ideally, I think it should be 6 or 7 days for the agenda packet.
Does anybody?
Maybe,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Does anybody else have any other thoughts on this one? I guess I would ask staff. I mean, it seems to me that going from 2 days to 1 day would be less of a burden on staff than going from 5 days to 6 days or 7 days. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. If we were going to like pick one of those, is one easier than the other?
Getting out the agenda is easier. Having 48 hours to respond to questions, it gives staff sufficient time to be able to respond when there's a high number of questions. It isn't just about staff. It's about you guys. It's giving you guys time to review the answers that are provided by staff. If we only have 24 hours, staff may not be able to get you the answers until close to before the beginning of your meeting. If you aren't able to receive the answers to the questions before the beginning of the meeting, counselors aren't then able to review the answers to those questions. It's the purpose of the 48-hour for substantial amendments. And I will note it's substantial. If you're aiming to substantially change something, if you have questions, if you're proposing small amendments, it's aiming for substantial so that you guys as the Arts Council can facilitate an efficient discussion so that you've all been able to think about what's being proposed and aren't thinking about substantial amendments on the fly. Everybody's able to digest the amendments or questions that have been presented. So the intent of the 48 hours is truly to help you guys be able to facilitate efficient meetings.
Okay, Councilmember Weinberg.
Yeah, a question. Given the infrequency of these meetings, they currently happen about once a quarter. I'm wondering, is it a hardship on staff to send out the agenda for it significantly more time before, 1 week? Why would 14 days ahead of the meeting be a hardship, given that it's 3 months between meetings?
Because staff have more than just the Arts Council.
Oh, I get that. I'm just saying that the effort that it takes to create the agenda, if it's a constant amount, does it matter whether it's 1 week before the meeting or whether it's 2 weeks before the meeting or 4 weeks before the meeting, for that matter? I guess I'm just trying to get a feel for why there's why it would be difficult to do it sooner.
I would say, chiming in here, I think that 7-day period is really the key time frame, both for delivering the information that's the most accurate to the Arts Council at that point. Oftentimes, though, our meetings are very spread out. We're working on things up until the day that packet goes out. So if we would be shortening that period of time quite frequently. And also, it's just there's also this cadence with We also have other boards and commissions that you're all aware of that personally I work with quite frequently. So we do have a number of materials that oftentimes can stack up. So I do think that 7-day time period is what I would like to strive for. I would like us to, as staff, to commit to getting that packet out on Wednesdays for the Arts Council and Thursdays for the Parks and Rec Commission, and stick with that, giving a number of business days and a weekend for the commissioners or the council members to review those documents. So if that was comfortable with the Arts Council, I'd commit our staff to doing that.
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, if you're comfortable saying 7 days, I mean, then, I mean, I think that would certainly help here with the weekend.
One thing I'll note for the bylaws is we picked 5. 5 is also in the city council rules of procedure. We picked 5 because sometimes there's that something that has prevented staff from being able to meet that timeline.
What happens if staff misses the timeline?
It's they just need to communicate with the counselors. It's up to you guys if you would wish to change it, but that's just why we picked the 5. The intent was never to issue it there. That's the latest you would receive a packet is, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I see Rosemary's hands up.
Well, I think it should be 7 days. I think there's a big difference between Arts Council meetings, which take place once a quarter, and council meetings, which are very frequent.
Councilmember Weinberg.
And just to answer the question I was asked earlier, when I've seen when a agenda packet is not complete when the deadline comes, what I've seen is that staff will publish the portion that is complete, and then we'll publish a revision a day or two later. And the revisions usually are very minor. There's not like, half of the thing is undone or something like that, such that I think the suggestion that's currently on the table of a 7-day thing, with some understanding that on occasion there may need to be a revision a day or two later for something that didn't quite make it by the 7-day target. I think that sounds workable to me. I think the number 19 item in the matrix that kind of talks about both the lead time and also the 2-day no surprises clause, I think it's probably more important to make sure that people have time to read the packet and they don't feel like, because they're now within 2 days of the meeting, that they can't propose an amendment anymore. But I don't know. I think there's kind of 2 different things we're talking about here, right? The 7-day time and the 2-day thing.
Right, and I
And
think
nowhere does it say that amendments can't be proposed within that 2 days. It's just you'll try to get them in.
So I'm trying to figure out how to get this to a conclusion here so that we can keep going. I mean, I hear staff is saying they're concerned about the timing. I'm not sure where that puts us. I guess I'm gonna ask everybody to hear what staff is saying about the timing and also what people's opinions are, and we're gonna I think we should thumbs up or thumbs down going to 7 days. Unless anybody, I'm hearing, there's a reason I cannot, from staff saying I can't propose that. Okay, we're gonna say that thumbs up to 7 days or thumbs down to something else other than 7 days. Okay, I'm seeing lots of thumbs up. That's what we're gonna go with. All right, moving on. I think that covered number 20. So we're gonna go to, or sorry, Rosemary.
Sorry, I was just looking at the wording of 6.5, and I was wondering if we could change that to say that councillors agree to use their best endeavours not to propose substantial amendments and or revisions, etc., unless they provide each other and city staff at least 48 hours advance notice, to just put the words best endeavours in there rather than agree not to, which is rather cut and dried. And that's in 6.5.
I have the language here. City Clerk, would you like to speak to this, or would you like me to try to make some comments on it?
I guess I'm struggling a little bit because it does say best efforts. 6.5 says counselors should use best efforts to contact the staff liaison to advise of emerging issues. Oh, it's
It's
the
just a
second
second
sentence.
The
I just
second-
was trying to get on the same page. I'm like, I'm not tracking where she wants it. I was like, efforts to endeavors. Okay.
So I think it would be the second sentence. What we would say is generally counselors agree to use best efforts, not to propose substantial. We would literally just add after counselors agree. Rosemary, is that basically what you're saying?
Yes.
City Clerk, are you clear on what that is? Or are you comfortable with that? What do you?
Staff have no opinion on the amendment.
Okay, well, let's do a thumb. Is everybody else clear on what this is? We're gonna do a thumbs up or thumbs down on adding the words to use best efforts in the second sentence. Thumbs up or thumbs down or question. Okay, we're done that one. Okay, number 21. Oh, and this was also my comment, number 22, about saying, do we want to put an amendment to specifically say that we are going to review the bylaws? Does anyone want to bring that up? I am not doing that on
I
my
think
end.
that's a good idea. And if I
Okay.
may ask, Councilmember Weinberg,
Mhm.
Liaison Weinberg, to provide a little more information about Matrix 21 item.
Yeah, well, there's part of the original ordinance that creates the Arts Council said that the Arts Council gets to determine its bylaws. And I think that having a clause in there saying once a year the Arts Council will look at its bylaws and consider whether to make changes reinforces that the bylaws belong to the Arts Council. That there can be suggestions from the public or from staff or from anybody, but that ultimately it's a majority vote of the appointed council members, the Arts Council members, to decide what changes to make there. I think it's just a good idea to reinforce that by saying once a year the council reviews its bylaws.
And is the language that you have there in that matrix item, is that the exact language that comes from the previous version?
Yeah, the part that's between the double quotes there is
Okay, so that's what we could actually do a thumbs up, thumbs down on then. Is that what you're recommending?
Yeah, I think that would work. Again, I'm not a voting member, so I can't make the motion. But yeah, I think that would be one way to approach it.
So I'd like to move that we do that then.
I don't think we're not actually, because we're not actually in a motion, we can't make a, we do, because we've gone this other route and we're not doing the formal motions here, we're just getting guidance on this. And so we'll do a thumbs up though here. Can I just ask staff, what is the plan for the bylaws? Like, is it the intention of staff to bring these up? And was there a reason that the bylaw review got removed?
The bylaws will always be brought back before all of the advisory boards and commissions for review on a periodic basis. The yearly review was taken out simply to try and bring that consistency. If all 7 or 6 of the advisory boards and commissions are tinkering with them every single year, eventually we don't have the consistency that was the point for our volunteers. that if should you want to go to another one, have some consistency to it. So the intent was never not to bring them back. It is states in the bylaws that amendments can be made to the Arts Council bylaws by a majority vote of the entire membership. So the intent was never that. Staff have no concern with adding this amendment. Katie, if you could stop your screen share, I have a proposed place to add this. Where I think it fits in would be to add it as 6.7, review of bylaws. Councilors shall review the bylaws annually at the Arts Council meeting in July. Proposed bylaw amendments must be approved. It's not a simple, it's by a majority of the Arts Council, which is 4 votes.
Okay, are there any other comments on this before we do a thumbs up or thumbs down on the proposal? Nope. All right, thumbs up or thumbs down on this change? Okay, we got it. All right, moving on to number 23. Not seeing anybody here on this one. Number 24. Oh, yeah, sorry, Councillor Moore.
Yes, I would agree. I have concerns about the last sentence of 6.1. I think we should remove that. We should just delete the last sentence. I don't think the staff liaison should decide all questions of interpretations of these bylaws. That seems very strange to me.
Okay. Does anybody else have an opinion on this? Or does your staff, you don't have to jump in here, but if anybody has a, I mean, this is like, we're saying you should interpret or not interpret, but I think the dilemma here is who's interpreting.
Some of the intent
bylaws.
of this is staff will often act as your parliamentarian. So Robert's rules is incorporated through your bylaws. If there was a question on interpreting Robert's rules, staff would make that this is how Robert's rules functions. But that we don't really have any opinion. It would be the will of you guys.
Okay. Does anybody else have any?
It's kind of just
Opinion.
setting that there is somebody who would be, if you guys have a disagreement amongst each other, how the bylaws are interpreted, who is going to delegate decisions on bylaw or interpretation.
Okay. Anybody else have an opinion on this one? Councillor Harrington.
Yeah, I agree with Rosemary's suggestion.
Okay. Anybody else here? So the suggestion is deleting the last sentence of section 6.1. Just to, is everybody clear on what what the suggestion is? Okay,
Yes.
we're gonna do thumbs up or thumbs down on what to do on this one. All right, I see 4 thumbs up. City Clerk, I'm gonna assume that if you have questions about it, you'll just barge in and tell me to stop. Otherwise, I'm
Yep,
gonna keep
I've
going.
captured it. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair.
Okay, item number 25. Anyone here on number 25? Nope. All right. Number 26 has already been corrected. So number 27. So this one, there was a staff recommendation for change, but this is not in the draft. This is already in the draft or it's not in the draft?
It is not because we needed direction from the Arts Council.
Okay. Does anybody want to talk about this one?
Sorry, could you just clarify that? So did you change this sentence, or does it say the Arts Council's goal is to provide a consensus recommendation?
No, we didn't make the change in the bylaws, because we needed to know if there was consensus support from the bylaw, from the Arts Council to make the change. But staff supported making the change. Does that make sense, Counselor?
So, sorry, the draft I have here says the first sentence of 6.4. The Arts Council's goal is to provide a consensus recommendation to the City Council and any other board or commission of the city. In all cases, however, a majority vote is taken. I mean, I guess it's a majority vote anyway, so maybe it doesn't matter that much. I was just agreeing with Councillor Weinberg's comment that it seems a little unnecessary to have this put in as a goal.
Oh.
Maybe it doesn't matter.
All right, so why don't we does anybody else have any other comments on this? Otherwise, let's go to a thumbs up or on this, just so it's a thumbs up is to adopt the text recommendation in the matrix. Okay, I see 4 thumbs up. We're going with it. Number 28. Does anybody want to bring this one up? Okay, nope. Number 29. Anybody want to bring up number 29? No. All right, number 30. Anybody? Nope. Number 31.
I remember what this one was now. This is 6.4E. I'm actually not seeing a 6.4E in the draft that
There's two Bs in the 6.4, so you're presumably speaking about the last one.
oh, there you go.
There
It
was
should
a
be
scrivener's
6.4E.
error.
Yeah, so I think the point I was suggesting on this one is that the way that the clause is currently written in the bylaws, it essentially erases the ability to reconsider. Once a vote is taken, as soon as the first syllable of the next topic is uttered, then there's no reconsidering after that. And it's very rare that there's a reconsider, for that matter. I don't think I've seen it in this in the various boards and commissions I've been on, but this would essentially erase it, unless the reconsider happens immediately after the vote is the original vote is taken. Not sure if it makes sense to take it away, but it's also something that I'm not sure would come up.
Okay, does anybody else have any thoughts on this one? I'm okay with this language, but I understand the concerns here also. Does Councilor
I
Moore?
think I mean, it's probably a really small point, as Councillor Weinberg said, because it probably doesn't happen, or only very rarely. But personally, I agree that it seems unnecessary to have that in, or that I can see the point of having it in, but it would be better not to have it in my view.
Okay, let's do a thumbs up or thumbs down, and then thumbs up means you support the change. Thumbs down means you don't support the change. Okay, no, I do not see enough thumbs up, so we're moving on. We're skipping that one. 32. This is related to the discussion we already had. Does anybody have any new thoughts on this beyond what we've already discussed? Not seeing anything. Number 33. Does anybody want to say anything about this one? Nope. Number 34.
I can withdraw that. I think that's
Okay.
mine.
Number 35. Anyone on this one? Yep, Counselor Harrington.
I just like Liaison Weinberg to provide a little more information about the intent of this bullet.
Yeah, I guess when I think of bylaws, I want the bylaws to be permissive rather than restrictive. And so if somebody has a concern about how something is being interpreted, I think the way that so I can find it here, 6.I is currently stated. Let me find it in here. Individual counselors shall not knowingly or willfully interfere with the administration of city business, including without any coercing, influencing staff on the selection of personnel or consultants, the awarding of contracts, processing of development applications, and the interpretation of the implementation of the Arts Council policy. So it's really that last piece, that the interpretation and implementation of Arts Council policy, and it's saying don't, right? It's saying, yeah, don't try and influence staff on it. And I get it. But I'd like to also have something in there saying, if you have concerns about how it's being interpreted, what can you do? If you can't talk to staff directly about it, I wanted there to be something saying the proper way to do that is to talk to your council member, or the text that I had in the suggestion there. Just trying to give people guidance as to what to do, rather than just telling them what not to do. Does that make sense?
Jonathan, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if somebody from the city could tell us how that would work presently.
I will note that my read on 6.1I, the last paragraph of it, doesn't say that Arts Council members couldn't ask questions of staff if you feel that Arts Council policy is being misrepresented or implemented or interpreted by staff. This statement is strictly talking about knowingly and willingly interfering with the administration of city business. I don't feel that asking questions is knowing and willful interference with the administration of city business. Does that answer your question, Counselor?
Thank you.
All right, so can we do a thumbs up? Or we still got a few more here. Just thumbs up or thumbs down on whether you think we should continue working on language here on this one. I don't see any thumbs in any direction. Okay, anyone? All right, no, we're moving on. 36. Does anybody want to bring this one up?
I'm trying to remember what this one was.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going here. 37. Anybody on 37?
I can withdraw that.
Okay, 38, number 38. Anybody on that one? Okay. 39, this was mine. I do not want to spend, we've been here a while. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Can I just ask one follow-up question on the presentation here on this one, which is that am I to understand that you're saying that the existing archiving solution that the city has could be opted in to my personal account on other social media platforms? So if I was to conduct city action on Facebook, then I would basically be opting into giving the city access to my account to be doing archiving. Is that
You'd
what
be
you said in there?
opting to give the city's archive social account access
Got
to
it.
it. Yes.
Okay, I do not have any further questions on this one, and I'm not proposing anything here.
40, I would withdraw. Staff has talked about that already.
Okay. And then I believe 41, 42, and 43 were just general questions, were not amendments. So I'm just going to bypass all of those. 44 was mine. That was a general comment, not the bylaws, and 45 was mine, also similar. So we're going to move on and be done with the matrix. So let me go, I gotta get back to the agenda here. So I guess I'm gonna say, staff, I'm gonna attempt to say what a motion is that we would want. That do we have a motion to adopt the revised bylaws as amended during the meeting?
I move to adopt the
Okay.
bylaws as amended in today's meeting.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, there is a motion by Councillor Scone and a second by Councillor Harrington. Does anyone have any further comments, or now that we have an actual motion on the table, does anyone have any further comments or discussion on the motion at hand? Okay, seeing none, councillors, please turn on your microphones. Will the city staff please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Daniel Becker,
Approve.
JB Gibson,
Approve.
Elizabeth Mitchell, Rosemary Moore,
Aye.
Suzanne Scone,
Approve.
Jonathan Harrington,
Approve.
Hannah Yun.
Approve.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
All right, our fourth item of regular business is committee appointments. We will welcome back Staff Liaison Katie Herzog.
Hello again. We don't have a presentation.
Did I,
Oh,
can
I'm sorry.
you pause for 1 second? I see
Yeah.
Ryan is jumping
I
in.
just saw.
Thanks. I was just letting know that one of my team's messages to staff popped up. For those of you who don't know, this office is now a hallway, and we're moving tables back and forth, and staff was not ready for the meeting we had going on, and it came up right in the middle of this meeting. So I want to make sure that it wasn't this group who was unprepared, because you were extremely prepared. It was the user group that did not have everything set. So I just wanted to clarify for everybody, my mistake, but thank you.
Thank you for the correction and noted. Katie, back to you.
All right. So we don't have a presentation for this item, but I'll just briefly speak on it and then turn it over to you all for discussion and further direction. Tonight we are seeking direction, discussion, review, all of that on our committees for the Arts Council. In 2022, the Arts Council established standing committees for public art, policy development, and special events. These committees were formed to support progress on arts and culture priorities and to address topics within their purview. Tonight, we're requesting that there is a discussion whether we fill the vacant positions on those established committees, or if desired, sunset those established committees and appoint ad hoc committees as needed to address specific work plan items and priorities. So the option of transitioning from standing to ad hoc may increase individual Art Council members' engagement. It will allow for flexibility in meeting specific objectives rather than each committee working in a broad category. This change in format would allow Arts Council members to be available to projects of specific interest and to participate as individually available. So currently, we do have those 3 committees. Each one has a vacant position. And we would aim to keep each committee to 3 members if you so wish to keep them. As a reminder, our policy committee is currently Jonathan Harrington, Rosemary Moore, and that vacant position. The special events committee is Elizabeth Mitchell, Daniel Becker, and a vacant position. And the public art committee is Suzanne Scone, Daniel Becker, and a vacant position. So I'd love to turn it over to all of you for discussion and some direction of which way you'd like to go.
And can I add maybe some additional clarification here? I apologize. I'm filling
Sure.
the chair and I had discussed this, and I was planning on sort of providing an opinion as a supporting role. And so I'm doing playing multiple hats here. And so if we were, so what I think we're deciding here today is sort of what direction we want to go as the council, and which of these do we want? We would not actually, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we would be assigning people to these specific committees. The assignment process would still be the same, which is that if you want to be on, whether we do ad hoc or standing committees, the assignments would go to the chair, and then she would be assigning people based on that. I think that's the process here. And that if we were to keep the standing committees, that we basically would not have anything this year for the policy committee. And that and potentially the public art committee, and that what we would do is the special events committee would take on some of the work. And then I'm not sure actually exactly where we stood on who would do some of the public artwork, where that would be. But so the committees, we could keep the standing committees, but then some of them would do more work than others, or we could basically abandon the standing committees and then figure them out as we go. And I would further clarify that you heard my name called for two of the committees, and that the chair and I had discussed, because we're both in the special events committee, that at least one of the two of us would drop off of it in order to create two vacancies on that committee, because that committee would be doing some level of work, and we would want to make sure that there's two other people that are on there so that we're not taking up all of the positions, because we would want to try to include as many people as possible on these committees. And so the question here is, do we try to keep the standing committees, or do we, so what do we do? So we're open to, or we have to decide as a group what to do. Councillor Harrington.
Yeah, I have a question for you. So you mentioned the policy committee didn't have any work assigned to it this year. I seem to remember there've been multiple requests to revise the policy and procedures manual that was last revised in 2018. And I had thought that the policy committee was actually going to do that work this year. So is that not the case, or how is that revision going to happen?
And
Yeah,
I'm
maybe this
relaying
is a-
information from staff, so that I don't have.
Okay,
So
maybe
just to be
a
clear,
staff can
that
be-
that staff can staff.
Yeah, we do see, standing committee meetings and work being minimal this year based on our work plan priorities that we will focus on for the rest of 2024. The policy manual, the bylaws should maybe cover most of our policies and procedures. If there are additional policies and procedures that we need to look at and look to create something, we can. Currently, that isn't a standing priority within our work plan. I wasn't a part of those talks with the policy committee previously, so I'm not sure what was said in terms of what would go into that. But it would be our hope that the bylaws that were just approved would really be our guidelines of policy and procedures for the Arts Council. Again, we can look towards, our 2025, 2026 work plan and priorities to see if that's something that should be in there based on, what the Arts Council wants to do with their work plan. Does that make?
If I could jump in real quick, Katie, I think just to create some clarity, the policy and procedures manual that Councillor Harrington may be referring to was a manual that we had when we started establishing the Parks and Recreation Commission. We started to install this manual in various other areas. What the bylaws update has done is has essentially addressed much of that. Now, there might be areas that we need to go a step further. I'm thinking of it more of an orientation manual for newcomers that come on, which would be more of a staff work item, but it's definitely something that we can look at updating in the future, or as Arts Council members identify needs, this could be something that could be established as a key priority as we go forward. On the other side of that is there are policy and procedures that are more outwardly facing. So thinking of things like public art acquisition policy or things like that. Those are more so the policies I think staff is thinking of when we talk about the policy committee and what they're maybe tasked with in supporting development of.
Does that answer your question for now?
Well, I do seem to remember that there are a lot of details in that policy manual that are not addressed in the bylaws. And that in previous discussions, maybe with Katie Herzog's predecessor, I had an understanding that we were going to be able to have a discussion of those items.
And so I can't speak to that item specifically because I wasn't there, but I just want to make sure that we're staying on track here on the agenda item here, because regardless of the answer to that question of whether the work is there or whether the work's not there, doesn't directly impact this question, which, because what we're saying is if we keep the standing committees, then the policy committee could still exist. And if work comes up, then it could get assigned to the policy committee. And if we don't do the standing committees and we go to ad hoc committees, if there's work, that work would get assigned to an ad hoc committee. And so the question here is not really whether the work is there, it's what type of committees that we have in terms of the specific motion at hand. I know that doesn't answer your question on the work, but I'm just clarifying what we're talking about. I see there's two hands up. I'm going to go to Councillor Moore first, and then I see Councillor Scone.
I would just quickly say that I believe that in the policies that we were discussing, they were different or certainly not the same as policies covered in the bylaws. So I think we are talking about two different things. But having said that, I think it would be a good idea to dissolve the policy committees at the moment, or the standing committees at the moment. It doesn't mean, as the chair said, that we don't look at a policy manual. It just means that we take a fresh look at how we do it.
Councillor Scone.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion that we sunset the committees that we have now and just let our workload dictate, the committee formation. And I think it is a good idea because it's people's skill set and availability will dictate whether or not they want to serve on that committee. So I talked to my motion. My motion is that we sunset the committees and do them as we need them.
Okay. Can somebody tell me, is that a sufficient motion here for what we're accomplishing? Is there a second to the motion on the floor?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, there is a motion by Councillor Scone and a second by Councillor Moore. Are we done with in the script here? There's not a spot for questions. Are there any questions? Is there any other discussion for that on this topic before we go into this? So just maybe can staff just explain for me and for everybody how this is going to work then? So everybody who was on a committee is going to, if this passes, everybody's removed. The committees are gone.
So what we would do is we wouldn't have our standing committees or put people on 3 different committees. What we'll do is we'll look at our workload and the priorities, and like our next item that's coming up, there is going to be an opportunity to say we need an ad hoc committee who is interested, who's available to come back to the Arts Council and, share a recommendation with them. So we would work project by project in terms of who wants to be a part of that and then who's available. And then, in a lot of cases, it would make a ad hoc committee meeting where previously we would have had just a committee meeting work, within those 3 kind of realms.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, well, counselors, please turn on your microphones. Will the city staff please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Jonathan Harrington,
I agree.
Elizabeth Mitchell, Daniel Becker,
Aye.
Rosemary Moore,
Aye.
JB Gibson,
Aye.
Hannah Yin,
Aye.
Suzanne Scone.
Aye.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
All right, motion passes. Our fifth item of regular business is the Arts and Culture Work Plan. We welcome once again Katie Herzog.
Okay, so just a short presentation for this. Our Arts and Culture Work Plan direction. There we go. Okay. So just a little background. On January 18th, the Arts Council did endorse the work plan. The City Arts and Culture Work Plan, which reflects the arts and culture priorities. Then at the October 25th special meeting, we presented a Q4 progress to date. Tonight, we are seeking input and direction towards 3 of those objectives. So priority 1, which is to strengthen community awareness of and support Mercer Island's arts and culture ecosystem. 1.2 reads, create presence and exposure at our events for the Arts Council to engage with the community. So included in your packet as Exhibit 2, there was a list of the 2024 city special events. Staff really view these as valuable opportunities for the Arts Council to connect with the community, build those relationships, and continue to contribute to the cultural vibrancy of Mercer Island. Tonight, we recommend that you direct a committee, which we will do an ad hoc committee, to return to the April meeting with a recommendation for the Arts Council engagement at 2024 city events. So I will stop sharing and we'll just kind of go one by one. We are looking for a hopeful motion tonight on that. So this will be our first example of that ad hoc committee. We'll need
Okay, so
up to 3.
so do we need to do the motion first though, right, to approve this? So may I have a motion to direct an ad hoc committee to return to the April meeting with a recommendation for Arts Council engagement at 2024 city events? We would need somebody to move.
I'll move that we form an
You can
ad
just-
hoc committee to return to the April meeting, 2024 meeting with a recommendation. It's right here for me to read.
I can reread it afterwards if we get a second.
I will second that.
Okay, there is a motion by Councillor Scone and a second by Councillor Moore to direct an ad hoc committee to return to the April meeting with a recommendation for Arts Council engagement at 2024 city events. Councilors, please turn on your microphones. Will the city staff please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Daniel Becker,
Aye.
Hannah Yin,
Aye.
Suzanne Scone,
Aye.
Jonathan Harrington,
Aye.
Elizabeth Mitchell, Rosemary Moore,
Aye.
JB Gibson.
Aye.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
All right, the motion passes. And for clarification, I believe the process here in the past, when there has been a committee, is to send, if you're interested in this committee, to send them to the chair and to Katie. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So if you would like to be a part of this ad hoc committee, email Elizabeth, CC myself, and Elizabeth as the chair will put together up to 3 members who will meet and then come back and present at the April meeting. All right.
And if you have questions about what that is, feel free to reach out to Katie and she will help you.
Absolutely. All right.
So
There we go. All right, so priority 3 is to complete 2 major city arts and culture policy projects. Number one was to update the comprehensive arts and culture plan, which is an appendix to the citywide comprehensive plan. Staff have been engaged with the Community Planning and Development Department, and we really wanted to determine the feasibility of these updates in the current biennium. Following our discussions with the CPD department, staff have determined it is not feasible to include this in the current updates to the comp plan based on the current workload and the volume of other items on the docket. Staff anticipates this item to be included in the 25-26 work plan. So direction is not currently needed tonight, but we do, want to get your buy-in to address this item as an arts and culture priority, of course, if desired, in 25-26 biennium. You're welcome to have any discussion or move on.
So there's not, right, so
No
we're not,
motion is
so
needed.
there's no motion here, so this is just, does anybody have any questions or comments on this? Last chance, I'm not seeing anything.
All right. And the second major city arts and culture policy project was to develop a 6-year spending plan for the 1% for the Art in Public Places Fund. Staff educated the Arts Council on the 1% Public Places Fund at our September 14th, 2022 meeting. That included funding, how dollars may be used, and the need for the ongoing spending plan. Our recommendation for tonight is for you to request staff to return in April with recommended timeline and process for the Arts Council to develop that 6-year spending plan. We do anticipate there being special meetings, perhaps workshops for community engagement and so on. So we would come back in April with a full, robust timeline. I can stop sharing so there could be discussion.
Okay. Yes, should we do discussion first or the? I
Or
guess
how
we'll
we
do-
want to do it.
Sure, we'll do discussion. Councillor Moore.
I'm just curious, and I'm not against it at all, as to why it's a 6-year plan rather than a 4-year plan or a 5-year plan.
I can answer that one. So it kind of aligns with our capital budget, which we do in a 6-year planning cycle. So 2 years are funded through city council, and then you have your 4 out years. So it's sort of this rolling 6-year timeline. Just aligns everything from a funding standpoint a little cleaner. But you could always do a 4-year plan or something less. 6 just is sort of a staff preference on this one.
Are there any other questions? Would anybody like to make a motion to request staff to return in April with recommended timeline and process for the Arts Council to develop a 6-year spending plan for the 1% for the Art in Public Places Fund?
Motion?
You have to say so moved or repeat the whole.
So
sentence.
moved.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, there is a motion by Councillor Gibson and a second by Councillor Scone. Please turn on your microphones. Will staff conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Elizabeth Mitchell, Jonathan Harrington,
Approve.
Rosemary Moore,
Aye.
Suzanne Scone,
Aye.
Daniel Becker,
Aye.
Hannah Yin,
Aye.
JB Gibson.
Aye.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Okay, the motion passes. I think that was the end of that section. So the 6th item of business is the 2024 Arts Council Planning Schedule Update.
All right. So just a quick update of where we're at. We will meet again on April 17th. We will give you the 2023 annual report. We will bring back that timeline for the 6-year spending plan for the 1% for the Art in Public Places Fund. And we will start to go over kind of an overview of the 25-26 priorities that we will be putting together this year. We do have a meeting scheduled for July 17th where chair and vice chair elections will occur, and we will continue our work on the 25-26 priorities. I also believe that the bylaws review need to be moved up to July based on what was adopted tonight. So we will work on that. There's a few other items that we may need to schedule throughout the year, the Mercerdale and Clark Groveland master plans. And as that becomes more available, we will add that into our schedule.
Katie, if I could just chime in real quick on the Groveland and Clark master plans. I don't have a specific date when that work's going to kick off. More than likely, it will go to sort of a kickoff process at the Parks and Rec Commission, probably in the next 2 to 3 months would be my guess. And then the bulk of that work and engagement will take place during the course of the late spring and summer when those parks are the most active. I do anticipate there being some arts and culture elements, and that will be the area we'll be really engaging the Arts Council on. But I do want to highlight these processes are really important for our boards and commissions to be involved in. And so even if it's outside of the arts and culture, I guess, purview, please be engaged through these processes. Also with the Mercerdale Park master planning process, which that'll be a little bit down the road as well. But as you know, that's a key facility for us for offering arts and culture programming, specifically the Mostly Music in the Park series and summer celebration as well. So just wanted to give you a little bit deeper on those two master plans that are going to be coming forward soon.
Okay. Is there any, so we don't need to make any motions here. Are there any questions about the planning schedule? Oh, yep. Councilor Harrington.
Yeah, I just wanted, I don't know if this is appropriate time to ask. I had 1 or 2 questions about the actual special events for staff. So can I just quickly ask?
Let's throw your
like,
question out and let's see what,
Okay,
whether it
so
fits.
yeah, I was wondering, are there, the Leap for Green event, is that going to be similar to the way it was done last year?
Yes, it will be very similar to how we planned it last year, as we'll invite vendors and other sustainability groups to participate and host a Family Earth Day fair at the community center.
And that would also be the case with the Pride in the Park event, the anticipation is they'll be similar.
Yes, we partnered with a Mercer Island group to put on that event. Our staff have already been in talks with them to get them to return to partner with us on that. So it is, our hope that I can't remember the name of the group who did it. Raven might know, but hopefully they'll want to return and partner on that event, or we can find another group that's willing to as well.
Thank you.
All right, well, if there's no other questions on the work plan, is there any other business to discuss or items to report? This is our last agenda item. Nope. Great. I will just remind everybody that we did pass 2 ad hoc committees. So if you want to participate in any of them, please email the chair, Elizabeth and Katie. But there being no other business to come before the Arts Council, the time is now 7:24 p.m. and the meeting is adjourned. However, as a reminder to councilors, please stay seated until city staff has terminated the Zoom broadcast. Good evening and stay healthy and happy.